When we say that someone has changed, we usually mean that they are drinking a bit more or a bit less. We don't mean that they are lying stone dead under 5 miles of ocean on a rock that now hangs silently in the freezing vault of space. An initiative was announced for a network of 120 countries to form a solar power grid, but I don't think Scotland qualified. I'm not sure how much solar energy Scotland produces. All I know is it is way less than it takes to light a sky. Clean energy is always described as expensive and inefficient, but I suppose that if the price of the alternatives is extinction, we might just be measuring expense and efficiency in an incorrect fashion. Developing nations say that rich Western countries are not doing enough to help them deal with the effects of climate change, but that is not the case. We are going to help them deal with drought by submerging them under the ocean. As the temperature increases, some people say it will be like boiling a frog, but that is an incorrect analogy, because in the original analogy, the frog doesn't know that the temperature is rising. Humanity, on the other hand, is fully aware, but possibly just too depressed to do anything. It's more like boiling a recently divorced 45-year-old man. There could be a plus side to the ice caps melting. Think of the interesting things you find when you just defrost your freezer. We could discover the first ever entirely breadcrumbed mammoth. Pointing out that the earth is our only home does not seem to help at all. After all, a lot of us have got a room in our house that we gradually fill up with crap and cannot bear to go into. I suppose on a planetary scale, this room in our house is just the developing world. There's going to be a big rise in demand for electricity in the emergent nations. I guess spending 14 hours a day assembling consumer goods was bound to put ideas in their heads. Many people use tablets made by a Chinese teenager using rare metals that an African child has scraped off the side of a hill with a spoon, then sent halfway around the world so you can smugly talk about how little paper you now use. Recently, Richard Branson signed an Earth statement. The same week he launched a new Boeing. I would say, how can he keep a straight face, but his face has never been straight. He looks like someone cast a baboon in a movie about Rolf Harris. Maybe it is time we started looking at being pro-business and pro-environment as opposites. They might pay someone to smile at the front desk, but corporations don't care if you live or die. Perhaps it's time to look at insentient blueprints for making money and wonder if they really have people's best interests at heart. Can the market, a mechanism dedicated to increasing consumption, tackle a problem that is essentially down to excessive consumption? Why not? After all, we've all been down an actual market and heard those cries of strawberries. Don't buy these strawberries, you don't really need them, you'll throw most away when they go moldy after you forget to eat them. Don't buy these strawberries. Things will be terrible for the people who come after us, and they weren't that great for the people who came before us either, as it was 2 degrees colder and there was no television. Perhaps we are all annoyed at climate change deniers because we know that the earth is past the point of no return. We are frustrated that they are still at the denial stage of grief while we have moved on to bargaining. Things are so desperate that even our fictional dystopias may turn out to be fantasies. We imagine the earth will sink gradually into chaos, but non-linear theories of global warming mean it might just be one afternoon of people screaming. Then suddenly you disappear under a boiling 100-mile-high wave of sewage flecked with famous landmarks from across the world. Your mind finally silenced by the sudden arrival in the space previously occupied by your forehead of a shit-colored Taj Mahal. In your final moments, you will probably feel cheated out of the many years you had hoped to spend watching a naked king in a leather crown as he staged mass hangings of poets in the echoing vaults of abandoned shopping malls. I dropped in to see my friend the other day, and her 4-year-old daughter opened with, "The world is dying," in a very sad voice. I said something soothing. I wish I could remember what it was now. Soon she'll learn that outside of the occasional Illuminati photo opportunity, such as the one in Paris, it is not really the sort of thing we find polite to talk about.